Hello everyone, Thomas Fleming here. Well, this is going to be another one of my riverside chats. I can get out, the day is nice. It's overcast, but those aren't rain clouds. That's just standard clouds just passing by. The rain's maybe tomorrow night, maybe afternoon. It's like everything. Everything is just, tomorrow. We might go to World War III tomorrow. We might have a banking crash tomorrow. There might be the next pandemic tomorrow. Don't want to say the word. But it could be the big C, it could be something else. They've got everything they can think of out there. And you know that in these labs, like Wuhan, see if I can disguise that name. When you look at these places, they have every deadly, worldwide killing epidemic in a vial someplace. They study these diseases. When they find one, they don't get rid of it. They lock it up and study it. So they've got everything at their disposal. They can release the plague or anything that they want. If it's ever been on the earth and it's killed somebody, they got a copy of it locked up. And it can be released at the whim of whoever's in charge. It's no big deal. It's just another front. So you start facing north, we have war. You turn a few degrees to the right, we have another pandemic. A few more degrees to the right, we have monetary collapse. Associated with that, we have digital money. I hear a boat out on the river. I doubt if it'll be there by the time I get there. Unless they're coming up the ramp. Maybe they're being picked up, I don't know. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or 6 cars here in the parking lot. Other people are taking advantage of the nice weather. So you don't know which way to go. Which way do you turn? You can turn 360 degrees and find something. And each one, just notch it up a little bit, go on to the next one. Notch it up a little bit, go on to the next one. You have to trust God in this stuff because there's no way that we can deal with it. Is somebody taking the boat out of the water? Nope, but somebody's working a backhoe down here to move the mud off the ramp. And let me see if I can. Okay, so there's somebody down there with a little backhoe scraping the mud off. Because it's hard to get down there and dump your boat off if you're going to get stuck in the mud. He's one of the volunteers that works here. God bless him for doing that. They have paid government workers that are here, but then they have people that just are out here to monitor. Okay, well, I'm going to sit down and reposition my camera. He's got a scoop full of water. He's backing up and then he's going to drop it and let it run down and wash the mud off. These guys are smart. Okay, I'll see you in a bit. Okay, I'm back. I tried to stay down there and wait till they were finished, but they're still working on the ramp because there's a lot of cleanup on that. So I came back to my campground. Everybody's out now. They've all moved out. They're all here for the same time frame, Monday through Friday. or Thursday, whatever today is. I don't know what today is. I don't have to be at a job. This is just every day. I don't know what day it is. Okay. So anyhow, with all these things happening, I'm wondering if God will follow his normal pattern. You say, what's a normal pattern? If he's getting ready to unleash wrath or any kind of problems on a country or nation, he tends to give them time to make a decision. So he'll hit them with stuff for a little while, and then he'll pause. If they give in and they realize their problem and fix it, then he's fine. He doesn't have to do any more. So we're going to turn to Revelation 8. Now, I've talked about in the past that the chapters are wrong in Revelation. Remember, the chapters weren't added until, 6th, 7th century, something like that. And the verse numbers weren't added till later on, especially when they had the Gutenberg Bible. There was no point in doing all this because not that many people had them. And the church had control of their Bibles by having them written in Latin, which nobody could speak. So therefore, when they finally got open to the public, they tried to go in and do this. The chapters were added by the current Archbishop of Canterbury. I forget the guy's name that added the verses, but it doesn't matter. They did the best they could, but they didn't know the way. And I've told you before, Revelation, once you get past the letters, is a series of videos, of vignettes, and they're self-contained. The seals go from seal 1 to seal 7. And we're going to be in the 8th chapter here, and the opening verses, and you open the 7th seal. It belongs back with the seals. So technically this could be anywhere through the tribulation time frame. Anyhow, he opened the 7th seal in verse 8, chapter 8, verse 1. Opened the 7th seal, and there was silence in heaven for about a half hour. And I saw the 7 angels who stand before God, and to them were given 7 trumpets. And another angel, having a golden censer, came and stood at the altar. He was given much incense, that it should offer it with the prayers of all the saints upon the golden altar, which was before the throne. Our prayers are always heard by God, and with fanfare, incense. So don't think your prayers go unheard. They may go unanswered in the way you're expecting. God answers prayers, I think, 3 ways. Yes, no, and not yet. And it's your faith that will give you the ability to stay through it. Okay. And the smoke from the incense with the prayers of the saints ascended before God from the angel's hand. And the angels took the censer, filled it with fire from the altar, and threw it to the earth. And there were noises and thunderings and lightnings and earthquakes. So the 7 angels who had the 7 trumpets prepared themselves to sound. Now the only point I wanted to make there is that there was a pause. And he's done this before. You pause before he issues destruction. Now, some things the pause is built in. He didn't destroy Sodom and Gomorrah initially. He had to get Lot and his family out. So the pause was at the end while they were there getting out of town. We're told the days of Noah and the days of Lot. Noah, it took him 100 years to build the ark. He didn't build it right away. One, he was just building it with his family, with his sons, not his daughters. And you've got to cut and hewn all this wood. I don't know if anybody's done any woodwork, but that's not easy, and they didn't have lumber mills where you take the trees down and haul them in a big truck, and they run them through saws and they square them up. They didn't have any of that. They had to do it all by hand. So there was definitely a pause while they're building the ark. After a while, the people that were probably jokingly talking to them about why build a boat? We don't get rain here like that. They probably gave up after a while. Yeah, crazy guy over there still building his boat. And they were living a long time too. Everybody back then, pre-flood, were living hundreds of years old. I've told you this before. In order to do that, the earth had to be spinning true on its axis. So that way the moisture would go up into the atmosphere and blanket the earth, similar to what we see the gas giants. Now, Saturn has rings, Neptune has rings, Jupiter has rings, but those are just clouds that are going around. Now, we're not like Jupiter, it's too big. It's almost a star. It just didn't quite make it. If you look at Neptune, it's a pretty even blanket all around the planet. And that's probably what ours look like. And that even blanket would have shielded us from the cosmic rays, the solar rays that come in. There wouldn't have been sunshine. And the proof of that is in the covenant. They were given a rainbow. They'd never seen one before. And then sometime after that, the earth got knocked cockeyed on its axis. It's now wobbling. It got hit off center and knocked it into a wobble. Could have been the moon. Could have been something else. We don't know. But you're not going to get that in 6 days. There's a gap in there that we don't know about. There's an unknown gap in the beginning, and we're in an unknown gap now. So God uses gaps. Remember that. So it may not have been 6,000 years. It could have been first day, second day, 10 billion years, third day, fourth day, or somewhere, it could be like that. We don't know. They have a gap theory for that. They could have also, even though the word is day that's used there, they may not be talking days. It may be figuratively. A day is as 1,000 years. That could have been 6,000 years just in that time frame. Or they could have been a billion years, a billion years, a billion years, a billion years. Be open. This doesn't change the gospel. It just changes our understanding of the world. But God created it, and that's all we really have to understand. And the gospel is still intact. So whether there's a change in Genesis or a change in Revelation, it doesn't matter as long as we're good and solid in the first 4 books of the New Testament. Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. They basically Matthew, Mark, and Luke all cover the same events for the most part. A couple of them wander off and cover other things, but they're pretty much a retelling. We have the figurine type thing where we see the lion and the eagle and the bear and the man, that image that we've seen before. Well, we have 4 visions of God in the 4 Gospels that match those images. Yeah. God is clever and consistent. Okay. I'm just going to read a little bit of this commentary that's here. How are we doing on time? We're doing, I don't know how long I talked before. I guess it doesn't matter. I could talk longer nowadays. You let me know whether you want me to talk more or less. I've been doing 30 minutes because of the upload time frame. I just relocated my antenna a little bit different, hoping that I'm going to get a little bit stronger signal. I'm right. You see how the trees are behind me? Well, they're the same in front of me, and that's where the antenna's looking. Now, there's enough sky space in there that the antenna's picking up the satellite. But it goes through there and it maps where the trees are so it knows not to expect signal there. because there's more than one satellite up in that area. Very clever design. Man can do some things that on a scale of 1 to 1,000,000, we can get up to level 10 with God being 1,000,000. Okay. When I say clever, I'm not saying as clever as God by any means, but we can achieve some things. And it helps us. My nose is not running as much as it was this morning. I'm hoping that praying that my cold is almost done. I can put up with a cold. I don't want the flu. I don't want any of this other stuff that's out there. The big C, I don't want any of that. I've had my shots, and I'm still here. I haven't keeled over yet. But it seems like you got to be in your 20s to 30s range to keel over. If these guys did that on purpose, line them up and smother them in honey and cover them in ants, and then send them to the white judgment seat. Evil people. Okay, reading the commentary. Anyone who's part of a church knows that the people of God are far from perfect. Very far. The church's one great hope is the second coming of Jesus Christ. Now, I'm just reading commentaries here. I disagree with that. Our greatest hope as the church is the rapture. The world's greatest hope is the second coming. Okay. The powerful teacher and Savior, Jesus Christ, led an utterly unique earthly ministry during his first coming. And he will return to earth at the end of time to collect his people. Now it says, first the dead in Christ will rise to meet him. Next, those believers who are still alive will follow. These, and then it quotes Thessalonians, which is quoting the rapture. So I don't agree with this commentary. See, this is what we have to deal with. People have interpreted this stuff based on a linear approach. All the gospel talkings, including the verses in Corinthians, are talking about the second coming, which is an important event. It is an important event. The world is looking for this. The world's not looking for the rapture. Only the church is. The world's looking for Christ to come back. And they're going to get there. They're going to get their Christ soon. There's an A in front of it, standing for Antichrist, but they're going to get him soon. And they're going to welcome him with open arms. What are they doing? They're cleaning up one of the sites. I went over there to see if I could pilfer any wood, and they burned it all up. And they left coals all over the place. Some people don't know how to camp and have a fire. I'll have to cover some of that sometime. I've got the wood makings for my fire, and I'll have to tell you how to deal with that. You don't put the big pieces in to start with. You start with the little pieces, and you have a bunch of them ready. You don't go out and collect them as you're trying to get the fire lit. You get everything ready, line it up alongside the fire pit, and then build your little pyramid and get your fire starter or whatever you're going to use to get it started, and then you start adding to it. It is springtime. These birds are noisy. All right. I was going to read on, but I like the first part. Yeah, we're all failures in life in comparison to God. We may be doing gangbusters when it comes to the world, but when it comes to God, we come short all the time. I guess I'm going to have to do another. Don't confuse the rapture with the second coming. Matthew 24 is the second coming. Revelation 12, harpazo is used there. That's a rapture. It's talked about in the Thessalonians letters, in the first one and the second one. Paul's dealing with the rapture. Jesus Christ in the red letter part of Matthew and Luke are talking about the second coming. They're Jews. They're talking to Jews. The Jews aren't looking for the rapture, just the church. All right. Be good to one another. Love one another. That's our one commandment. Love God and love one another. Do those two things and you fulfill all the other commandments. Every covenant that we've ever had is in place. God doesn't change. But sometimes he gives us a second covenant to answer the first one, and a third one to answer the second one. Jesus, the final covenant, answers all the other ones. But all the covenants are in place. Some people want to go back and follow the Abram covenant. You want the covenant from the Last Supper. That's the one you want. All right, till we meet in the clouds. God bless.